Hey, g'day Jarweans and lover of anti-flappers everywhere. Hey, so you've decided to be a free camper, right? So there's a few things you've got to take into account there, and you probably really need to change your style of camping just a little bit. So it's all about the battery, all right? So if you're the matriarch of the van, all right, your camping buddies, especially the kids, may hate you, righto? You need to look after your battery, guys, right? So over the long weekend, we've had a few people have a crack at some free camping. Now, sometimes, unfortunately, you get a lot of overcast days, so that's really not going to help you out there. So no matter how much solar you have, if you don't get any sun, then there's nothing you can do about that. So I guess there's two ways to solve that problem. All right. In relations to, let's say, a generator, for instance. Okay. So you can go two ways with generators. One is you go 2.2 size generator or above, in which case, you can run the aircon, all that sort of stuff. Another way you can go with the generator is run a smaller generator and then utilize a 12 volt battery charger. Okay, so you can go straight off the smaller generator, alligator clips, etc., okay, onto the terminals on the battery, and you can keep your 12 volt up and running that way, which is a cheaper alternative. So buying the smaller generator, okay, so you might be able to get a more higher spec sort of generator like a Yamaha or a Honda, which are nice and quiet. Okay. Now, if you don't want to obviously have the door open because you've got to run the lead into the battery, okay, another way around that is to go and speak to a caravan repairer or your auto elec, and maybe they can install an Anderson plug, okay, onto the rear of the van, for instance, okay, and then run appropriate lines onto the terminals of the battery, and you can charge that way. You can have your door closed and that sort of stuff. So that's two ways to go with the generator. We've all spoken about, of course, there's areas where you can't use a generator, unfortunately. Okay. Another one is if you're a free camper, okay, avoid the shade. All right, shade is not your friend. All right, so make sure you're getting plenty of sun onto the roof of the van. Also, a good idea to carry some supplementary portable solar, okay, whether that be a blanket or your folding solar panels, okay, in which case the Sirocco here, okay, and the other models, there's right Anderson plug on the back for that, so you can chase the sun around, all right, because obviously your roof panels are fixed, right, so there's only certain periods of the day, right, where they're going to be, working at their best, right, so with the portable, you can move that around and chase the sun. Righto, if you're a free camper too, righto, the inverter is the devil. Alright, there's enough 12 volt items out there, okay, so try and refrain from using your inverter, righto. Apart from the big fridge, righto, it's the biggest sucker of power, right, and they're not very efficient, okay, at turning 12 volt into 240, alright, so avoid the inverter, alright. Also, make sure the inverter is actually switched off on the unit itself, all right, and not in standby mode because it's using power, all right. The other thing, part of free camping is, if you don't need it, switch it off, okay. That includes your pump, all right, the hot water system, okay. Normally you're going to be running that on gas anyway, okay. So, gas is your friend, the inverter is not your friend, all right. Charging, all right, when you're going to charge things like your phone, probably the main item that everyone has, charge your phone during the middle of the day, okay, or use the car to charge your phones, all right, to take that load off the system in the van, okay. So watch your voltmeter, okay, watch your voltmeter. right? You don't want to get around that 20% mark on the lithium, and you don't want to get around that 50% mark on your AGMs, all right? So at night time, I think I've said it before, make sure you get that battery as close to 100% before last light, all right? Because the fridge is a large draw. Okay, talking about the fridge, if you're a free camper, all right, freezers and free camping don't mix, all right? Try and avoid running a freezer. If you're going on several days, you're a bit of a germ freak, righto, all your proteins, okay, put them in airlock bags, okay, or air seal bags, all right, vacuum sealers, okay. Some butchers will do that for you, right, and your little small freezer lock bags, okay, or your lost my train of thought now. Your vacuum sealers, right? You can pick them up pretty cheap, right? So you can vacuum seal all your meats, all right, in those. They're fairly inexpensive, all right, and that will make that last a lot longer, okay. If you really need a freezer, I would suggest buying a small fridge, just big enough to carry the proteins that you want, all right, and run that in the smaller fridge rather than trying to run the freezer on half of the big 95 litre fridges that come in the vans, all right. But yeah, unless you're on the road full time, all right, you can probably pick up enough produce, all right, without running a freezer. If not, like I said, limit the freezer size to exactly what you want. Okay, so downsize that a little bit. Yeah, so yes, some of your camp buddies are probably not going to like you, righto. But come beer o'clock, when you're sitting down and drinking a nice cold beverage, they might turn away from thoughts of harming you, righto, after being the battery Nazi for the last 2.5, 3 days. The other one is the fridge, okay? They're big fridges. Keep them as full as you can. In the case of the Sirocco, try not to run both fridges, right? That's a big draw. Or if you have to, once you've reduced it down enough, then transfer from one fridge to the other, righto, and then turn the other fridge off. So that's another way of saving power there. So yeah, you really need to be on top of what you're doing with your batteries, okay. I think I've said it before, that the lithium is good, all right, but just like AGM or any other battery, all right, you can't abuse it, and you need to keep that voltage up there. If you're not using it, okay, turn it off, all right, turn it off. So the other one to keep an eye on is your little amp meter there, right? So that'll tell you what you're drawing, all right, and how good or bad you're being to your batteries, all right. So that's another one to keep an eye on. If you have a ute, for example, or even a wagon, if you've got an auxiliary battery in the back of that, and it's got some solar, right, you can utilize that battery to charge your small items, your drones, your cameras, and that takes the load off the battery in the van. Okay, so that's sort of another way of sort of working around it there. But yeah, if you're going to get in the free camping game, guys, you really have to keep your battery in mind, all right. You really don't want to get down to that train of having to reset the lithium battery, all right. Although the BMS is doing its job and it's protecting your battery, all right, you want to avoid that, okay. I hope everyone had a great Easter. Hope you didn't eat too many Easter eggs. But yeah, we had a few free camping problems. Like I said, some just ended up with overcast days and just couldn't get enough sun. All right, so your fix is probably a small generator. All right, if you go into those locations where you can use it. But yeah, just try and be a batsy Nazi wherever you can. Righto, without ticking the missus and the kids off. Righto. But yeah, just work really hard at it. Pick your weather, and make sure, although it's nice to be parked in the shade, right, just think about that solar input. All right, so that's very important. I hope that helps, guys, and just chuck us any questions that you might have, and keep that inverter switched off, and try not be tempted to get that inverter cranking. And again, make sure it is 100% switched off and not on standby, right? Because you're going to wake up in the morning and it's going to, that on top of the fridge drawer, right? That's going to draw your battery down if that's sitting on standby using power, right? So a good way to check that is that little amp meter. Go ahead and switch all your switches off, and then happy days. Watch that amp drawer come down. That reading you saw before, that's the van sitting here just ticking away on the solar, and with everything switched off. So you notice that little what was it? 0.5. Yeah, 0.5. Which is probably just like, it's like a parasitic sort of draw, and then you got a little bit of draw with the breakaway battery as well. Alright, so that's pretty much parasitic. So 0.5 is everything switched off. I've got no fridge turned on or anything like that. Simply just that control panel turned on itself, which will be drawing a little tiny bit of power as well. I hope that helps, guys. Anyway, chuck us any questions, and look after your batteries. Bye.